Oh my gosh, it's a Monday and we got a Raw that's only 2 hours. Can you believe it? It's Rumor and Innuendo. I'm Dominic D'Angelo of AdFreeShows.com, SEScoops.com, and OneTrueSportTV.com. But per usual, I am here with former WWE writer Robert Karpelis, WWE Creative _ish. Robert, good to see you, man. Happy Monday to you.
Happy Monday. Trying to figure out why you're wearing what looks like a shock collar around your neck.
Yes, this is my microphone. I can usually put it inside the stick and hold the stick, but I figured why not keep my hands free? Because you never know what could happen on here. I get a little handsy.
Please stop that. That's really creepy.
Gesticulate. Very Italian.
Please stop gesticulating. Welcome to welcome to Rumor and Innuendo. I'll say hi to some of the folks who are joining us here. I'm going to say packed Monday. Thigh slaps and steroids says just when WWE is killing it with their PLEs, Trips comes out and reminds us that Crown Jewel is right around the corner. EEE says top of the morning to you. Willie Thornbrew said, did Drew get hardway juice from the toolbox? There's a weird sentence to explain to a non-wrestling fan. The Wrestling Old Head, good after morning, R&I. I can't wait to hear your thoughts about Bad Blood and the longest reigning feud currently in WWE between CM Punk and The Rock. And then Stuart Green, happy 2-hour Raw Monday to all the R&I Bloodline members. What a show Bad Blood was, and how you do a cell cage, no syringe necessary.
That is A+ correct, sir. Robert, yeah, Bad Blood happened Saturday evening. 5-match show. Nice, sweet, and short.
And lastly, just Megan listening to Cold by Static X asked, how is Rocky Horror Picture Show? I met Barry Bostwick, lovely man, very tall. We got to talk Spin City, which is what I was happy about. And then I watched it and reminded myself, man, that's a terrible movie. The first 20 minutes, a lot of fun. You remember the time warp, and there's a couple of good songs, and then it just falls off a cliff and keeps going. So lots of wrestling analogies we can draw to there, but we don't have that kind of time, man. We got Bad Blood to talk about. We got Raw to talk about, and hopefully, depending on Hurricane Milton, and if it wipes Florida off the map.
My goodness, yes. Bad Milton. We don't want Milton to come around in these parts. No. Not for you, Robert. Certainly not. But, hey, pretty happy that CM Punk and Drew McIntyre finally came around to a Hell in a Cell. Kicked off the show. Lots of talk about that beforehand. But, Robert, I think it really... let's just get your thoughts on it first before I dive into anything regarding it. Yeah, what'd you think of this match kicking off the show and everything about it?
Man, they did it. We talked about, I wasn't sure how this was going to go. They've had 2 PLE matches that have been okay. Mm-hmm. The first match I think was marred by the Seth Rollins involvement. The second one was a strap match, and strap matches are always going to have their limitations to it. We weren't sure how this Hell in a Cell was going to feel. They immediately amped up the animosity, the aggression. It felt like 2 dudes who hated each other. There were escalating moments in this match. Yes, there was the toolbox. Yes, there was a liberal amount of blood from both people. It felt like Drew was beating the crap out of Punk for a while, which is what you wanted this to feel like. What was great from a storytelling perspective, throughout Bad Blood, you're going to hear me say the storytelling was top-notch. All the matches might not have been, but the storytelling was top-notch. This idea that Drew McIntyre, over the last few years, has been consistently screwed over time and time again since winning the title against Brock Lesnar in an empty warehouse, that this was the first time he was hoisted by his own petard, where he pulls out this bag and you think, oh no, is this going to be thumbtacks? Is this going to be broken glass? What devious thing? It's beads. He decided to troll Punk rather than go for the finish, and that was what gave CM Punk the opening to hit him with the GTS, with the wrapped up chain. And the way they cut to Drew after, it was clear he's not still smoldering about CM Punk. He's pissed at himself and he's let down, and that is how you end a feud.
Yeah, Robert, I was really, really happy with this match. And obviously all the hype that came to it. the feud, the 10-month feud culminating up to it. Drew McIntyre did a little video on X beforehand, kind of stating, kind of tying in his personal life with what's been going on here, and just added more and further stakes to it, and said, the hatred dies. I'm going to apologize for what people are going to see tonight. All that kind of stuff really set a great tone, and I thought these two delivered on the match in the storytelling aspect of it all. A lot of blood, as mentioned. I think people have been talking too about like how Drew McIntyre got 16 staples in his head after that toolbox shot, and people were like, "Well, hey, why people are open to criticize AEW for their crazy, dangerous stuff that they do there." And then this toolbox spot happens. Do you have any thoughts regarding that, Robert, in regards to, hey, should they play it a little bit more safe? Was this, it's hard to tell when you're not the two guys in the ring exactly what went down, but yeah, I wanted to get your thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think the toolbox to the head was really necessary. I get that they wanted to amp this up. Same way I would criticize AW, any company doing this. You don't need shots to the head like that. I don't think it was the defining moment of the match.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was someone brought up in the Devin, who used some language I'm not allowed to put up there. It was holy blank. That Miss Claymore must have hurt Drew's back. Yeah, when Drew landed right on the steps, like it was clear these guys were physical. They were taking their toll. I hate headshots. All due respect to Stone Cold Steve Austin, CTE is real. Let's try to avoid getting blasted in the head if at all possible. But for Bad Blood to be the wrap up of this story, yeah, this fit. And someone asked, should this have main evented? As soon as they said it was not main eventing, you thought, okay, there's something storyline wise later on in this show that's going to warrant that tag match being the main event. I was okay with this being your opening, give the crowd a chance to kind of recenter themselves before the main event.
Yeah, and it made that stand alone in itself. That match was like, okay, it kicks off, boom. It's almost like a separate kind of thing that was going on, and then you move to the rest of the card. So I think kind of benefited from being the opening match of the show. Obviously, people wanted the main event, and you could maybe have finagled it to a certain way to make it work, even with the appearance that coming up later on. But I thought it was well done in this stuff. So, Robert, we had before we get to the other matches, I will talk about all the legendary names that were in attendance for this one, and a big one in particular too that got a little involved. We had guys like Arn Anderson, friend of the show. We had DDP. We had Scott Steiner. We had Booker T. We had Mickey James. We had
Friend of the show, Booker T.
Friend of the show, Booker T. Jackie Moore in the house. We had trying to think who else was there any. Oh, Sean Waltman, friend of the show as well.
Wait, when did Sean become a friend of the show?
Indirectly through ClickList.
Okay, I'll take it. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, look, I like the use of the celebrities, the stars, the legends in the suite. It gives it a nice lived-in feel. They've done that before. Tully Blanchard was there.
Yes, correct. Also, friend of the show. We can mark him down as one too, Robert. So
let's not count me as a friend of Tully Blanchard. I'm kidding. He's gotten much better. We all love Tully. But yeah, the next match was a good. Let's recenter the crowd. It was the Nia Jax Bayley match. This is another one where storyline trumps the quality of the match itself. The match was okay. Fair to say.
Okay, I think that's fair to say. I think it is.
Tiffany Stratton came out. I said this. I would have liked to have seen her successfully cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase, but instead you got that moment where it's like the Three's Company mishap where she's handing the briefcase to the ref, or is the ref pulling it from her? Nia Jax doesn't know what's going on. It winds up leading to the end of this Bayley Nia Jax feud, thankfully. And now her and Naomi can go do something on their own. We can eventually pull the trigger on this Tiffany Stratton something. I'm hesitant to turn her babyface. I think she's an excellent heel, but who's really lined up to go take on Nia Jax?
That's very true. There is, and I think that's been an ongoing thing when it comes to this women's division on SmackDown. And when we've seen this kind of feud fall flat between her and Bayley, Nia and Bayley, and it makes you think, okay, how are you gonna charge up Bayley now? It's just, yes, they're very limited on who they can kind of pick and choose in regards to the stars that they present on SmackDown when it comes to the women's division. So, yeah, it did perpetuate and continue the story between Tiffany and Naya? Is it something that we can really sink our teeth into? Time is going to tell. So
No. Oh, sorry. I was just to pretend like, yes, there's more intrigue, but no.
no.
Another story we were definitely not sinking our teeth into was the dissolution of Judgment Day. Man, this just felt like, boy, this has got to end. And that was how that match came across, Finn Balor and Damian Priest, given that you had JD McDonough interfere, you had Carlito interfere, you had a chair involved, and at the end of the day, Priest got his definitive win.
Yeah, yeah. Where do you go from here? I think you just move the heck on. It's just like,
I think you pivot with the Judgment Day to the Wyatt Six.
mhm.
As we mentioned, the Fiend was the first opponent of Finn Balor, so there's that history story. It gives those guys something to do, and it keeps Priest away from all of this. And let's see what legs he has as a former world champion and now as an emerging babyface.
Yeah, yeah, and finding him a good opponent to go on. He kind of teased in the post show press conference. I think he did mention the Intercontinental Championship, so that could be a pretty interesting venture for him. But also, you got Jey Uso there too. So, uh, yeah, the options. And we're Raw going to 2 hours. It's a tight window to fit all these people in, as we mentioned before, Robert. So it'll be intriguing to see where they all lay out and how WWE formulates this all. So, but yeah, I'm with you. It's seeing the Judgment Day, the new Judgment Day, kind of move on to a new feud with the Wyatt Six. How do you heat those guys up still? Because it's just like they've lost definitively, all of them, to Damian Priest on
Well,
Saturday.
Finn and JD McDonough are still the Raw Tag Team Champions. So you can find a tag team for them to feud with, or a couple tag teams. I think ultimately, because we've hyped the 10th anniversary of New Day, it'll come down to New Day versus Finn and JD to try to patch things up. But you do still have the LWO floating around. You have the Creeds floating around. You have the Wyatt Six floating around. There are teams that you can target and direct and send them after as Devin Dowling says. I forgot about the tag titles. I'll be honest. I think creative did too.
Well, real quick, how would you build back Finn Balor up if moving forward from this? Obviously, he's been the supporting role through Judgment Day through this whole time. And,
It's a look. This is a time for us to refocus. Damian Priest does not matter. He was not worthy of being in the Judgment Day. Now it's a matter of we have the tag titles. Liv Morgan has the women's title. Judgment Day is still firmly in control of everything going on here on Monday Night Raw.
Okay.
That fixes it, and you just move on.
All right.
Heels can do that. Heels can no sell stuff, and you're like, you guys are full of the kind of language that Devin Dowling would use.
Yes, in the chat. Okay. Hey, we also had another Judgment Day feud between Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley with Dom and Shark Cage. And then we got the return of Raquel. Oh my gosh, is it Rodriguez or is it Gonzalez? What are they using?
Raquel Rodriguez.
Thank you.
She went by both. That's why it's confusing.
Yes. So Raquel Rodriguez makes a return and costs Rhea the championship. So what did you think of this match, Robert?
The Shark Cage was a fine little addition to it. Dom dangling from it was a fun spot. The referee doing the whole, hey, you can go, beat the crap out of him for a minute. That was kind of stupid. I didn't like that.
Yeah,
the announcers buried it because they were just, as soon as it happened, like Graves and Cole were like, this is not a great decision to do. But it was again about ending a story, moving something else on. We've now seen Rhea beating up Dom like a pinata, hitting him with the kendo stick. She failed to beat Liv Morgan, and now she wants to get revenge against Raquel. She will eventually want to go after Liv and get the women's title back, but she's now got a side mission, and it does kind of free Liv up for a new challenger going into Crown Jewel.
Correct. And Triple H made a little bit of news about Crown Jewel. Teased a new championship. Teased champion versus champion, but
there's a new title.
Yeah, but neither title was on the line. With that, the Crown Jewel Championship will be on the line, and they presented it. It's very big and very gaudy. And how do you feel about this, Robert? We're getting this, can't escape this champion versus champion kind of thing when it seems in both companies sometimes. But now we have it as a probably consistent thing going year in and year out with Saudi Arabia.
Man, do I hate this.
Okay.
Obviously, the Saudi show, it's loaded politically speaking and culturally speaking, and I'm not a fan of it, but I understand they're getting paid to do it, and they have to create these fake spectacles in order to trick the Saudi royal family into thinking that they are getting something that truly means anything. It's the carniest thing that they still do in wrestling. Oh, you're going to get the greatest Royal Rumble. We're going to do a trophy for the best wrestler in the world. It's nonsense. So you're going to make a champion versus champion to give this gaudy looking big stupid title that doesn't mean anything. It's a reason for them to do Cody versus Gunther so they can push their two world title matches that actually matter to Survivor Series. It's goofy. It's dumb. I'm sure there will be a lot of storyline in place to do this. Look, there was a time when they did this at Survivor Series where it was all the champions versus all the champions, battles for brand supremacy. We had a bragging rights pay-per-view before. Like,
Right.
fans, I don't think really care as much about brand versus brand. It's Cody versus Gunther. They know it's going to be a good match. It sounds like a big attraction match that Saudi can be excited about that they're getting. They have that comically large title that would probably make you tip over if you tried to put that on.
Yes.
But they were really smart because when Hunter announced it, the boos in Atlanta, pretty heavy. So you
Yeah.
bring out Gunther. You let Gunther talk about title versus title. You let him talk about Goldberg. You remind people that there is a world title match here tonight. From those perspectives, I think that segment worked, even if I hate the underlying announcement.
I know. There's no way you can't polish a turd. And that's they did the best job they could with that kind of thing. And I think Hunter kind of Febrezed a lot of that around there as much as he could. So yeah, what are you going to do with this kind of thing if you're going to have those shows at Saudi Arabia? You got to try to make them feel special, even though they're kind of not. So yeah, interesting stuff. Robert, we had the main event as well. Cody Rhodes tagging up with Roman Reigns to take on Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. Lots going on in this match. We saw the return of Jimmy Uso, and then we saw the return of The Rock to close the show out after Cody and Roman won. So what did you think of the unfoldings of all this, Robert?
Match was a storyline. It's kind of what we've come to expect from Roman matches, that they are these big epics that have a number of different moments to it, less so than what a great wrestling match this was. I think that this match continued to highlight how special Jacob Fatu is. I think that this match did wonders to remind people that Roman can be an effective babyface. I think that crowd was super to him when he did his corner chant. Like,
Yeah.
they're all in for that dude, even if you get him in capacity. The Jimmy Uso reveal was blocked and shot properly,
Mm-hmm.
which is important. Roman sold all of it. There was such emotion in their faces without actually talking. That was really, really well done. The finish was what it was. I was hoping that we were going to see the Bloodline win in order to further War Games. We're getting there a different way. It did feel like the bootleg Bloodline were put back on their heels. They fled. The moment where Roman is eyeing the title and eyeing Cody to remind you, like, hey, we got along here. This moment now, we're together. But the second I get a chance, I'm coming for that title. I
Yeah.
like it. They made the save when Bloodline tried to attack him. So it's like, yeah, Roman's kind of a baby face. Jimmy's kind of a baby face. There's a different story to be told. And then the moment when Cody held up the title, boom, you hit the Rock's music. And you're like, oh, that's why this was the main event. Now I'm intrigued. We're on the road to WrestleMania even earlier.
Yeah, even much earlier than planned. So I liked it too, Robert. I thought the moments that they very much story driven on this the aspect of it all, and Jimmy showing up and kind of making that babyface turn after we've seen him feud with Jay and, be so treacherous and stuff like that. And then you get Roman, him almost being the voice of reason after Cody's getting attacked and being like, hey, come on, and then it's like, I'll do what you want. And then they both run and do it. Thought it was a good moment there, too. Not only that, Robert, but then we get not aired, but aired on social media, Kevin Owens attacking Cody Rhodes behind the scenes. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that moment as well and the handling of that.
What a smart way to do this. So during the post-show press conference, Hunter had said something about like, hey, Cody was scheduled to be here. He's not going to be here. And they don't really get into it. And you're just kind of like, okay, whatever. They released like fan cam footage, cell phone footage, whatever it was, from different vantage points of Cody and Kevin Owens having a verbal altercation that leads to Kevin attacking Cody. This is what we predicted. We knew something was going to happen. At first, we all thought it was going to be Orton. And I said, those Orton babyface pops are really, really strong. This gives Kevin Owens a new lease on life. Mm-hmm. He's sort of the question mark. Is he going to re-sign with WWE? Is he going to go to AEW? Man, I think that seeing a heel Kevin Owens at full steam going after Cody, those dudes are going to have a lot of fun with this. And look at how stacked Survivor Series is going to be. Yes, we have Crown Jewel. Cool, whatever. Cody and Gunther, it's like an out of continuity. Secret Wars doesn't happen, doesn't matter. But you're going to be able to do Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. You're going to need a challenger for Gunther. Would not shock me if it's CM Punk. We just concluded this feud. Give Punk a little bit of like, that's where I want to go after. The War Games match, a couple people asked the question. I don't see Rock entering War Games. I think that either it'll be 4-on-4 War Games, or there's always the possibility of adding a fifth member to the bloodline. And then on the Roman bloodline side, by taking Cody out of the equation, putting Cody in a situation with Kevin Owens, it won't be Cody entering War Games. So you have the ability to bring Jey Uso in. If they were going to bring somebody else in, I think what would be kind of fun is you bring Sami Zayn back into this so that Kevin Owens can be overly infuriated that Cody goes and joins these guys, and now you, who's supposed to be my friend, who's supposed to understand what I'm doing here, you go and join these people too, and now you got Kevin coming after Sami.
Yeah, I'm all for that, Robert. I'm always all for the unexpected ally coming into play and getting into the mix too. So whether that's like a Sami Zayn or you add somebody else into the mix too, that you're like, oh man, he's like on the side of Roman and all that stuff. I like that kind of stuff. I think I was not when it's difficult to make this bootleg bloodline feel bigger with Solo losing constantly and things like that. But you bring somebody like Hikuleo in or somebody like that kind of, hey, okay, we got a new guy in the mix. Let's see how he gets involved. Maybe there's some potential there to kind of build them back up in certain ways.
It'll be a lot of fun. And then obviously for Survivor Series at the women's side, you got to do Pure Fusion Collective versus Natalya and Kaden and Katana and the Bird Girl, because it's the hottest feud that they got going.
Valkyria.
Valkyria. It's white hot. I'm thinking most of 2 hours of Raw tonight is just going to be that feud. But there are a couple other things that have actually been announced for this show that doesn't involve the Pure Fusion Collective, which feels like a miss.
Yeah, you know what, Robert? We're going to get a Seth Rollins promo after he returned last week. How will his tone change? Will he be different? Will he be still the flamboyant Seth? Or has he turned over a new leaf when it comes to, hey, let's tone that stuff down, pump the brakes? Well, we also got a Donnybrook match, Sheamus versus Pete Dunne, follow up to their feud. And then we have Intercontinental Championship, Jey Uso versus Xavier Woods. But let's not forget the World Heavyweight Championship match as well. Gunther taking on Sami Zayn that they teased a little bit at Bad Blood. Robert, let's get your thoughts on Raw. 2 hours, baby. Only 2 hours.
Love the Xavier Woods Jey Uso match for the Intercontinental title. I think that's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. I think those two, people forget that Woods can go.
He can, yeah.
He is a hell of an in-ring performer on top of the storyline element that they're telling there. Obviously, Sami and Gunther is going to be a blockbuster match. It's going to be all about what the finish is, how they pull something like that off. What new story are we going to tell? Seth talking about the Bronson Reed thing. They could heat Bronson Reed up continuously here. I know Braun Strowman is supposedly banged up.
Yeah.
And obviously AJ Styles on SmackDown, that injury does not seem like that was storyline from everything that's been going on. So
I'm hearing conflicting stuff. Initially reported it was part of the plan, but then you see the footage and it looked pretty bad.
it
And
looked
then,
pretty bad, and his foot was pretty bruised up. But they could, yeah, we'll see.
who knows?
It's if it was storyline, which let's hope it was, good storyline. If he is in fact hurt, given how strong he looked coming back, that's unfortunate. So let's keep our fingers crossed. But I do know that Dave Meltzer, who's never wrong, said that AJ had to go for an MRI. So the fact that Dave is so convinced that this is real makes me think this is 100% storyline. But we will see. That is why we watch, guys. That's why we love watching wrestling. That's why we love talking about wrestling. That's why we love listening to podcasts about wrestling, some of which feature some of the great stars of the past, like Mr. 420 himself, Rob Van Dam.
That's right, Robert. I talk to another Robert and Rob Van Dam every Monday at 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It drops on your podcast feed of choice and on rvdtv.com. We cover some good ground. We talk about the Motor City Machine Guns, who they teased a little bit on SmackDown. I'm sure we'll talk about that at some point here. But we also will talk about the Hurt Syndicate making their way to AEW, and Rob gives his opinion on how that could potentially change how AEW lays out some matches, maybe. So interesting stuff there. Plus, we get a wild phone call from Marty Jannetty live during the show. So,
wait, I'm sorry, you buried the lead on that one.
yes, Marty was partying and he gave RVD a call, and so that happens live during the recording. So, tune into that 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, rvdtv.com, or wherever you get your damn podcasts.
Look, I'm surprised Marty Jannetty has a working phone. I think that is the biggest news story here today. But working stiff.
Yes,
What an
Robert.
episode we recorded. Myself, Scott Chaplin, and Mike Lawrence. We cover a lot. It was a freewheeling conversation. We talk a little bit about the national comedy scene. Touch a little bit on the Vince documentary. We get into all sorts of crazy tangents. Steve Austin's legacy. It's a it is a vintage episode of Working Stiff. If you have not gone out of your way to go check that out, do so wherever you get your audio podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, and the like. And while you're doing that and listening to that show and listening to this show, give us a 5-star review, subscribe, help that algorithm, help this show continue to grow and thrive, because we will be here, massive Category 5 storm notwithstanding, every Monday through Friday at noon Eastern on a plethora of platforms, including the WWE Creative _ish X account, the SE Scoops X account, and on YouTube. Jeff Jarrett be damned on ad-free shows Working Stiff and Rumor and Innuendo. So on behalf of the dog collared Dominic D'Angelo, I'm Robert Karpolis. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Not damn it, Dom. Damn it, Janet.